Hello Year 2, how are you? And welcome to today's maths lesson. Now in our maths lesson yesterday, we looked at dividing by 5 and we used two different methods to do that. We used sharing and we used grouping. Now today we're going to use those very same methods to help us divide by 10. But before we do that, let's warm up our brains with our flashback. So here's your flashback for today. You've got number 1, divide 15 by 5. So could you use one of those methods to help you there? Then number 2, find the difference. So when you find the difference, do you need to add or subtract? Okay, you need to work that out. You need to find out the difference between the ice cream and the cupcake price. Then number 3, you need to use the less than, the more than, or the equals to sign to compare. So have a look at the number sentences. Do any numbers jump out that will help you answer this question? Then number 4, you need to fill in the missing number. So 20 plus something equals 100. Okay, so pause the video now, Year 2, and have a go at your flashback. Okay, so let's work through the answers together. So we're going to use sharing for the first question. Now, divide 15 by 5. So we've got 15 objects and we need to share them out into 5 groups, one at a time. How many objects will be in each group? Well, I did this earlier with stars. Can you see? There are 15 stars in total and I put them into 5 groups. Now, how many stars are in each group? Yes, you're right. There are 3 stars in each group. So 15 divided by 5 equals 3. Well done. Now, number 2. Find the difference. Now, did you work out if you needed to do addition or subtraction for this question? Well done, you need to use subtraction. When we find the difference, we always use subtraction. So let's start with the price of the ice cream because that is the greatest price. And then subtract the price of the cupcake, so 41 pence. So let's start with the ones. 9 subtract 1 equals, yes, 8. And 9 subtract 4 equals 5. Fantastic. So the difference between the price of the ice cream and the price of the cupcake is 58 pence. Well done if you got that right. Now, number 3, use less than, more than, or equal to compare. Now, before we compare, we need to work out the answers to the number sentences. So let's have a look at the first number sentence. Which 2 numbers jump out at you? Yes, they jump out at me too. 9 and 1 because they're our number 1 to 10. So now we know that those 2 numbers equal 10. We just need to add the extra number, which is 6. So 10 plus 6 equals 16. Okay, what about the other side? Do any numbers jump out at you this side? Yes, me too. Another number 1 to 10. 5 and 5. So now we need to just add 3 to 10. So 10 plus 3 equals 13. Fantastic. Now, let's compare them now. Do we need the less than, the more than, or the greater to sign, or the equals to sign? Yes, that's right. We need the more than sign, the greater than sign, because 16 is greater than 13. Okay, lastly, number 4. We're going to use our number 1 to 10 to help us with this, because if we know our number 1 to 10, we also know our number 1 to 100. So 2 plus something equals 10. What's the answer to that? Yes, you're right, it's 8. 2 plus 8 equals 10. So if we know that 2 plus 8 equals 10, we also know that 20 plus 80 equals 100 because we're just multiplying all of the numbers by 10. So if we know our number 1s to 10, we also know our number 1s to 100. Fantastic, well done if you got that right. Now let's move on to today's learning. So as I said, we're going to use grouping and sharing to help us with our dividing by 10. And we're going to write a grouping number sentence, division number sentence for this array. So when I do my division number sentence, I always start with the total amount of objects, which in this case is 30. I've got 30 counters altogether, and I'd like to put them into groups of 10. Okay, so I put 30 objects, 30 counters, and I'm going to group them into 10s. Now, I want to find out, for after my equal sign, how many groups I can make when I have 30 counters and I put them into groups of 10. Well, shall we find out? There's one group of 10 and another and another. So how many groups of 10 have I made with the 30 counters? And I've put them into groups of 10. Yes, I've made 3 groups, haven't I? So therefore, 30 divided by 10 equals 3 because 30 counters put into groups of 10 gives us 3 groups. Fantastic. Now it's your turn, okay? So how many counters have you got all together? And you're going to put them into groups of 10 like I did last time. And how many counters are going to be, how many groups are you going to be able to make with your counters if you put them into groups of 10? Can you write your division number sentence for this array? Okay, yeah, too. So let's go through it together. Well, how many counters did we have all together? Yes, well done. We had 20 counters. And I asked you to group them into tens. So 20 divided by 10, because we have 20 counters and we're putting them into groups of 10. And then afterwards, we need to find out how many groups we're going to make. So look, there's my first group of 10 and another group of 10. So what number do I need at the end of my division number sentence? Yes, you're right. I need 2. Fantastic. Well done if you got that right. Now we're going to look at some more questions now, but this time we're going to look at sharing. So here is an array, okay? And in total, we have 60 counters, okay? And I would like to share them into these 6 groups that I've got here. So let's start sharing them. There we go. I've shared out all of my counters into my 6 groups. So let's write a division number sentence for this. Well, I said that I started with 60 counters, didn't I? And we always start our division number sentences with the amount of counters that we have all together, or the amount of objects that we have all together. And then I asked how, I said we're going to put them into these 6 groups because we're sharing them into 6 groups. So therefore, we've got 60 divided by 6 because we have 60 counters and we're sharing them into 6 groups. Now, how many counters are in each group? Well, should we count the first group? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 10 counters in each group. So we can write 60 divided by 6 equals 10 because there are 60 counters and we've put them into 6 groups and we've got 10 in each group. So now I'd like you to have a go. So here are some counters for you. You need to work out how many counters there are in total, and then you need to share them into these 5 groups and then find out how many counters are in each group. Pause the video now and have a go. Okay, year 2, so let's have a look. Let's start sharing out these counters. So each time I'm putting 1 in each group. There we go. Now what would our division number sentence be for this? Remember, we always start with how many counters there are in total. Did you manage to work that out? Fantastic, there are 50 counters in total. And we're going to divide them, we're going to share them into how many groups? Yes, there were 5 groups. Now, how many counters did we end up with in each group? Shall we count them together? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 10 counters in each group. So we can say 50 divided by 5 equals 10 because we had 50 counters, we shared them into 5 groups, and we had 10 in each group. Fantastic. Well done if you got that right. Now, there is a link, a relationship between multiplication and division. Shall we find out how we know this? Well, what multiplication number sentence could we write for this group of cubes, for this tower of cubes? Well, there is 1 group, isn't there? And how many cubes are in the group? Well, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've got 1 tower with 10 cubes. So I've got 1 group of 10. So I could write 1 multiplied by 10 equals 10. Well, now I want to write a division number sentence. So remember, with a division number sentence, you always start with the biggest number. You don't start with the biggest number. You start with how many counters you've got, how many cubes you've got in this case. So how many cubes have we got? Yes, we've got 10 cubes. And we're going to share them into these groups. How many groups have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 10 groups. So we're going to share these 10 counters into 10 groups. So we can write 10 divided by 10 because we have 10 cubes and we're sharing them into 10 groups. Now, let's share these cubes into 10 groups and find out how many are in each, because that's going to be our number after the equal sign. So how many are there in each group when we've shared the 10 cubes out? Yes, you're right. There is 1 cube in each group. So we can write 10 divided by 10 equals 1 because we had 10 cubes and we shared them into 10 groups. There is 1 in each group. Can you see that with the division and the multiplication number sentence, we've used the same numbers? Fantastic. So we've almost created a fact family here, haven't we? Because we have found the link between multiplication and division. If you know that 1 multiplied by 10 equals 10, you'll also know that 10 divided by 10 equals 1. Okay, I would like you to have a go at this one on your own. So for your multiplication number sentence, how many towers are there and how many are there in each tower? And for your division number sentence, how many are you starting with? How many groups are you sharing them into? And how many are in each group once you've shared them? Pause the video and have a think. Okay, yeah, two. So how many groups of cubes did we have? Yes, we have 3 groups of cubes. How many in each group? Yes, we have 10 in each group. So we can write 3 multiplied by 10 equals 30. Now, what can we do for our division? So remember, we start with how many cubes we've got, which is 30. And we need to divide them into these 10 groups. So we can do 30, because we have 30 cubes, divided by 10, because there are 10 groups. Let's find out how many, when we share them, will be in each group. There we go. How many have ended up in each group? Yes, you're right, 3. So we can write 30 divided by 10 equals 3, because we had 30 cubes and we shared them into 10 groups and we have 3 in each group. Again, can you see that we've used the same numbers in our multiplication number sentence as we have in our division number sentence? We've just flipped it round, haven't we? So there you go. There is a link between multiplication and division. And if you know the multiplication, you can also know the answer to the division.